Stop that, I said. Stop that. Transition over there. Transition over there. Biddly bump, biddly bump. It's raining men. How are we getting on, friends? How are we getting on? Welcome live once again with you. Brokeback Blitzkrig. We'll get into that in a minute. Just thought we'd send off. I'm currently streaming here, but I'm just waiting for the chat. The chat. Here we go. Sheepdog. Can I get a 5x5? Doing my tin pool look tonight. I hope you appreciate it there. Stripe777 also joining us in the house. First time commentator, long time listener, Jan Free 114. How nice to see this pop up. Haven't seen or heard from you in ages. That'll be the censorship. That'll be the banning. Don't know if you're aware of it. A little bit of banning gone on there for the last couple of years. But hey, how and ever, we persevere. A few more minutes as the chat fills up. And we shall see. We shall jump in tonight's disquisition. Get through a few talking points over the last week or two. I want to try and conduct a little. Thanks for that, Sheepdog. Want to conduct a little experiment with you. Those of you that are more technically adept, I have left the link for the Telegram channel. If you would like to, we can see if we can get the discussion and open it up, as I have been promising for a time, but I haven't been able to update the system. So if you go into the description box on tonight's broadcast there, you may see the Telegram link. I'll drop it into the chat here as well. Let me just bring up the channel, copy the link, and I'll just drop that into chat there for you guys. If you want to have a bash, just jump in and subscribe. If there's enough there, we'll try and open up the airwaves for a little conversation if it works out. If not, we shall endeavour to bring it into play next week. Big thank you, as ever, to Lady Trish for pushing and cracking the whip to get the GT to get out and broadcast here again tonight. If it wasn't for her, you wouldn't see me for dust. What are you doing, GT? Get on that fucking stream. Get on there, fucking. Tell him. There were some that, Paul O'Neill says, there were some that were happy to see the black and tans. There were some that were happy to see British soldiers on the streets in streets in the north in guise of safety. History has told us have military force on the streets. 100%, yeah. ICE doesn't end well, from Paul. I agree, Paul. But we are going through the fuck around and find out stage, and everything in context. Indeed, if we stick to the GT rule, keep your mouth stum for the minimum 12 to 24 hours and let things proceed. As with the ICE shooting, the first ICE shooting there last week, you could clearly see she ran into the ICE agent, and he was well within his means to defend himself. And again, here on the third position, with your man attending a peaceful protest with a loaded SUR semi-automatic hand weapon, which is notorious for NDing. Those of you with the little bit of with a little bit of knowledge, is a negligent discharge of a weapon, and that weapon, the SAR 9mm, giving on research and seeing a few video broadcasts, is notoriously for negligent discharge. Stream of events, turn events. It's not that I don't care about the loss of human life. All human life is a tragedy that is lost. But in the stage, he went there loaded, looking to harass federal agents in the middle of a legal and lawful process. While I do also agree, and I maintain that two things can be true at the same time, putting the military on the streets is indeed a dangerous move, because it is a toe step to what's happening in Iran. Please have the people, the good people, the Persians in Iran, not the Iranians, the Persians, the people of Persia are fighting for their freedom. 50,000, last I seen over the weekend, some 16,000 had been destroyed. I've seen numerous accounts, those that have managed to escape, that have finally got onto the internet and have described the horrors, the absolute horrors. Again, the left completely silent on this frontier. It leads us to wonder why. Why would they be like Gaza is the main thing? We have Muslims in trouble over here, but it doesn't sit well with the left narrative that the Muslim or Islam is the victim in all situations. But in Iran, Islam is the oppressor, and that doesn't sit well with the left. So they'll just dutifully ignore it. Some 50,000, and again, the Christian massacre going on in Nigeria is off the hook. Again, not a whisper. This is by design. As you understand, this is by design. I heard a recent statistic as well that might come to shock you, that the country of Nigeria alone, its birth rate matches and will in time, in the next decade or so, exceed the birth rate or the birth rate population of the whole of Europe. Let me say that again. the birth rate of Nigeria on a country by itself equivocates or is equal to the whole of Europe. And we have an open door policy there as well. I had no problem with Christians coming in, but that's not what we're bringing in. We're bringing in Islam's finest radicals from all across the world, from every jail cell, from every mental asylum. Make your way over to Light Touch Ireland. They'll take you in. We are headed for a couple of summers of disaster in the near future. Let me tell you. Okay, the room seems to be chilling out. Everybody's settling in well. Let me see if any of your comments there. Owing a gun isn't a crime. The problem was the camera. They don't like to be filmed. Yeah, again, pal, I'm not going to dwell on the subject too long because it's a situation outside of our country that should really affect, but we just get glooped up on this American culture. The Americans have their Second Amendments. They have their First Amendments. There were videos there. I don't agree with the comment that they don't like to be filmed. I think they are pretty transparent, and of course, in any how can I go? It's not military, but any operation of that caliber, of that situation, they're going to run into errors. You're going to have mistakes, but the percentile mistakes has increased to what have they year in year end? It's up to 600,000 so far since the deportations have begun. Like 22 million screeped into the country, but 600,000 have so far been ousted out. But I don't agree with the way people are just getting so wrapped up in it and stuff like that. Again, it's a situation over there. If you're going to bring a loaded weapon to a protest, they are not kidnapping American citizens off the streets. That is utter bullshit. They might capture or take, I would say capture, they might take in a couple of people that are actual citizen residents. That is part of the mistake, and they're cleared off. And I've seen plenty of montages of how the children are creeping. But you see our prostitutes, the way they will drive the narrative, they will frame the narrative, they will take a slice of the truth. The 5-year-old child being arrested, first thing that I seen last week, his father was illegal. His father was detained and arrested. He happened to be there. Are parents exempt from the law? No, they're not. The child was taken into custody along with his illegal criminal father, and the child was placed into daycare. But again, the media will focus on the emotion to try and take the moral high stand and to try and trick you and to play off your suicidal or their suicidal empathy, because you bastards, this bastard, but you bastards, you don't have suicidal empathy because we see the bullshit. Which I will say will probably steer me around to the conversation which I've been mulling over and chewing over. Is segregation even something we should be talking about as for future-proofing ourselves? Like if Commissioner Heron's checking out this broadcast or the AI broadcast, like the TikTok AI, just in case you're unaware, you're tuning in and you follow me over there, we did get perma-banned. I think it was for the last broadcast. I was in, I think I have it here actually, I was giving out about Islam and about the congregation, the call to prayer in the midst of an Irish congregation, church service, Fox in the Hen House, all of that. They didn't like it up them. So the channel got banned, just to make you aware of that. But in them situations, you can see the video broadcast, you can see the context afterwards. Your man was brought to the ground. One of the ICE agents was removing the gun because he had his shoulder hips, had seen it, and had removed the gun, but the gun discharged, and the other officers were shots fired, and he returned for pretty much putting your man down. And again, if you've followed him and you've seen other pictures other than the ones of the good doctor or the degenerate dressed in skirt stockings mocking as a woman dressed up in makeup, tattooed from head up to thing, a completely evil person by any other standard or any other metric. So I've no sympathy there either. Paul wants to throw it out there. So Paul, well, I do agree with your first opening statement. Yeah, putting the military on the streets is a dangerous situation. But if it's done under the right guys, it can be for a good thing, but it can lead into a very dark, dangerous place as well. That doesn't say that we shouldn't initiate it, but who else is going to put people into intern camps or start the deportation here in Ireland? The numbers are getting, and we are being assumed by the numbers, are gradually coming to a point where that will never be an option unless some outside force comes into play. I should say, as my first situation as the new High Chief of Ireland, or on Taoiseach, once elected and put into place of the soft dictatorship, the nationalist soft dictatorship that I shall bring in, and put a time period on it of 2 years, that a complete complete removal from any outside foreign nationals from the welfare system. Got to get out of that welfare system for a start. I've other statistics and under there about the mass deportations in the United States so far, year on end, actually decreasing house prices. So the more people that they remove, the median house price starts year on year starts to depreciate and starts to go down. Another way that we might alleviate the pressures on the housing crisis over here. Housing crisis, you say, GT? No such thing. Young man here, like all the young men, and I've seen the foray with the socialist Republicans attacking what they described as the Zionist Nazis. Have a think about that one there now. Zionist Nazis. That's what they were shouting for. No Nazis! No Zionist shills! No Zionist Nazi shills. The left don't do maths, they don't do critical thinking. They just don't do. Like calling themselves socialist Republicans. Oxymorons all over the place. All Alistair Hoover the place. Gene, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in and saying hello and engaging in the conversation. But as I was saying, there is hope for the Zoomer generation. There is hope coming from the Alpha generation. Lots of good, strong, stern young men taking to the airwaves and speaking out and showing leadership. And people and men are mustering. Young men, more importantly, young men, because that's where it will come from. But young men understand the more your powers of observation increase, the more that you will become a threat, and the more. Let's see if we can get this thing to play without we'll have to do a refresh and get it going. Have a listen to this, young man. Let me know if 5x5 sheepdog be on the straight and the narrow there straight away, and just let me know if the sound is coming through.
There is no housing crisis. There is only a direct plot against the Irish people to ensure that they stop having children and to destroy what remains of Irish culture. You see on RTE in this country the shit that they spout out of their fucking mouths to keep the Irish slaves entertained, telling them that we are building more houses this year, when reality is they're bringing in 10 times more immigrants than they are building houses, and all it does is frustrate the Irish people and make them want to leave. But you leaving and going to a different country is actually exactly what these people want. They want you emigrating to every other country so that every culture gets diluted with every other culture, and there is no such thing as cultural individuality anymore. The 60-hour work week isn't a surprise. Them working like dogs in those Asian countries and having a 0.7 birth rate, where they absolutely will go extinct if things don't change. And now they're trying to bring in all these African immigrants into Japan, for example. What does that benefit the Japanese people? Not at all. Oh, there's a labour shortage because the people aren't getting paid enough money. They can't have any children because they're working such long hours and get paid so little. Anyone who believes that there is truly a housing crisis is a fucking idiot.
Oh, did you hear it? That's what I mean. That's what I mean about the Alpha and Zoomer generation stepping up to the place, stepping up to the market. They see through the bullshit and the lies because they've had the likes of you and me to listen to at the background. They have bent the ear towards the conspiracy theorists. No longer the conspiracy theorists, but just right. Just not far right, just fucking right. Because we can read between the lines and we can see the patterns and we can recognise the patterns and we can put 2 and 2 together and we can come up with 4. A decent 4. Not 1 + 1 = 1. And all of that. And boys can be girls and girls can't be boys. 5x5. Thanks for that, sheepdog. So it is coming through. Muck, appreciate that. So, again, with the socialist Republicans, and again, if any of those retards are watching, there is a chance for you to redeem yourself and have a listen to what is being spouted. And don't fall victim and prey to peer pressure just because some other lager loud is out there shouting and screaming and looking for bother and maybe getting paid and then tagging you along to be an agitator as well. Get yourself in the press, make yourself a little bit notorious, and then maybe end up for an arrest for something you don't even quite fully understand or fully believe in. So I shall ask you to check again, once again, check your epistemology. That word popped up in the airwaves and I love saying that word. How do you know? Epistemology. How do you know what you know? Can you verify it? Can you check it? Are you willing to alter your position should new information come forward? Always start talking about that. Changing your position and re-examining your position every time new information comes to the fore. I shall try not to let it slip my mind as well. But again, I have I'm not going to rely overly heavily on YouTube on the videos, and because we no longer have access to Twitter, which is I'll be honest with you, it's a relief. I am glad to be off the platform as well. Sometimes you felt a little bit that you had to make it, but I was weaning off that piece by piece, and it cobbles up 5 gigabytes nearly to a day or two, and you start doom scrolling and get into it. So I'm glad that umbilical cord to that platform has been taken away. Again, so just let me know if any of you have managed. Have we got 4 notifications over there? Over on Telegram, see if any of you mad bastards. Sheepdog, if you jumped over to Telegram as well, the new Telegram link is over there. We'll try towards the end of the show, see if I can get you to bring it forward. Right, let's talk on matters.
Very pleased and grateful.
Hang on there. I'm in 2 minds whether to play this as well by considering Paul O'Neill's in the house as well, give me a stick about the black and tans as well. But I've got a piece there from Margaret Thatcher from way back in the day. And I distinctly remember, even as a young man, I distinctly remember her standing up in the House of Parliament years ago when it was a different animal, different beast back then. Same beast. She's a notorious paedophile protector. I do get that. I do know that. But some of the snippets that they let out as well. Most of her cabinet were paedophiles. Her chief whip was a paedophile. She protected just as evil as the rest of them. But again, we don't understand how that system works. But she foretold, and she has a little piece here as well. But in one of her speeches, she said when the United Kingdom were asked to join the referendum, she said that will quickly morph into a centralised control mini China. And how right she was. And she has other snippets of information on that as well. And yes, I will go there and take messages from all walks of life. I would even put Uncle Adolf up here with the English translations if I thought it would help the cause. If any of you haven't heard Uncle Adolf, who's Uncle Adolf, Sheepdog? Just explain it in the chat for those at the back that aren't quite listening. Are you listening? Can you hear me at the back? Are you paying attention? Are you listening? There'll be a duster flying its way down to you, messing at the back there by the window. JT, Sheepdog, who is the uncle? Who is the great uncle? The Australian painter. Yeah, you know where I'm going anyway. But I'm in 2 minds to play with that. Let me touch a little bit closer to home and talk about the Blitzkrig, the Brokeback, which is in reference to me. Still struggling with the back, boys and girls. Still struggling with it, but so we throw a few pills down our back and just crack on with it today. It's down in the bones. Like the muscle tissue seems to be repairing, but it's in the bones. Whether it's a slip disc or whether it's a muscle tear at a insertion point, I don't quite know. So my former running mate or fellow contestant for the local elections there a couple of years ago, Kevin Coyle, posted out some more plans that are here for the International City West, or the main European model for international protection, as the land and the surrounding areas are being gobbled up. Let me swap over here to the feed view and I'll bring Kevin's. Myself and Kevin didn't end on good terms or anything like that, but I'd still push his message forward as well, because it concerns this area here. Now, this foray, or this bubble that Kevin is talking about, that another slice of land is to be divvied up in some 7,500 units from the IPAS, City West IPAS Centre. Nobody else, just those from the IPAS Centre will be placed into these new dwellings in and around the area. That is on top of the some 12,000 that have already been placed in and around the area. If you know City West, it's mostly designated as a industrial area. Lots of industrials on the far side of the M7 over towards Newcastle and stuff like that. Most of the main distribution, courier services and big manufacturing businesses in that industrial park there, along with some other big businesses. But all those vacant lands that were to be designated for commercial buildings have now been rezoned for residential dwellings. And those houses, those fields have been gobbled up. In the midst of an industrial area, you now have these ghettos, and that's what they'll be. Ghettos of apartment blocks after apartment blocks, some dog boxes on top of dog boxes, calling themselves townhouses, with a square footage of less than a doghouse. Tiny, and even the road size, not enough room for 2 cars to pass. Everybody has a car each. There's usually 2 cars per household going forward, and you have one designated space, and you cannot park on the road because the other car can't get past you. So they are squeezing more and more in here. Let me show you just some of the landscape here in the City West of the area there. Down at the bottom left hand of your screen there is the former, can't remember the name of the former owners, but they made millions, McGillions out of this. And this was all wrapped up. This land here previously, and for the City West Hotel, was previously wrapped up in the Liffey Valley fiasco. Do you remember some 10, 15 years ago when the land was acquired by, I can't remember the name of the chap, but this land was also thrown into the deal, and then some former drug dealers bought it over there. And I say that allegedly in Minecraft, but they bought it, and it was falling on its knees at one stage because tourism was dying, and then the government steps in and buys it off them. How are you, Siobhan? Great to see you. Thanks for jumping in and saying hello. But so the screen here now is divided up, and top left there on the red is the Lewis line. You can see from that left-hand side there's the City West Shopping Centre booming up there. That land has already been bounced up and filled up with all those industrial units. At the back here towards the top left, or just under my picture here, you can't see it if the most of it there is the new housing residential areas. This cluster here down at the old village where Dunn Stores is, the main high street for the old village in Rathcoole, and then going down to Rathcoole village itself. The land is expanding, but just down to the bottom right, at the very bottom of the picture here, is the new duplex, but that was just an open field with one house in it less than just over a year ago. The cranes are still up there. You can see 3 megalithic apartment blocks being put up. Some townhouses, some smaller. And again, some of that they'll say will be 10% for social housing. All of that is being given to iPast. They'll be housed there. There's even been a private road built in between the golf course and opened up in there as well. And then down along the bottom right there towards the main roundabout is all the old houses. All them houses that bought up there just had a field behind them just a year ago, now have high-rise apartment blocks right over them. Like another place over the south side near Woodstown Village, near where the former Taoiseach that used to live there, where the heck, Knocklion. There used to be he only died recently he died 2 or 3 years ago, but he had a plot of land with his house and the green field all around it with a housing estate, and then he passed away, and voof, what am I talking, 4 or 5-story apartment blocks overlooking people's houses. That's going to be the game plan going forward. There cannot be enough illegal immigrants into the country because they cannot build enough or quick enough. And that, as they say, is true. I'll just finish off on the City West. I'm sorry what, they want to add another 2,500 units and potentially adding 7,500 plus residents to the former village. Not matching or outmatching, but subsuming the local population with a whole other population of people. Some 5 to 1 now? 5 to 1 outnumbered, different shops, different ways of life all coming up and just being crammed in. But the majority of the people, I say, because I walk around the area quite a lot, so from time to time I meet people, they're not the slightest bit. Some of them aren't bothered. There's a lot of them are angst, but a lot of the lefties in there, like school teachers and the like, who think it's fantastic. But the Ponzi scheme of illegal immigration or forced mass illegal immigration is a Ponzi scheme to hide from the fact that the economy is failing, that the economy is crashing. So what I've always attested that this open border is to facilitate the downward spiral or to mask the GDP figures. They'll go off the GDP figures. Most of the dogs in the street think that GDP figures is relative to quality of life, but it isn't. And politicians will always go back and say, well, our GDP figures are fantastic, they're out the roof. Never mind that our crime rates are outpacing Sweden. Never mind that we're probably the second or third place for highest for rapes in Europe. Never mind that the murder rate is actually on the increase. And we won't even talk about the excess deaths from the democide that we perpetrated. Shh. Luckily, we've got help from our friends in the media. Will help to keep that covered up. 25%, 16,000, heading up to 20,000 per annum. Sudden deaths all the way out. Had a Substack there from Rob. I think I got rid of it as well because it is quite long. I can dig it out again if needs be. But showing the stats of 164 declared deaths over the first 12 months of the pandemic, of the lockdown. I never heard those figures. And those deaths attributed to the COVID vaccine, mRNA gene therapy specifically. But we never heard about that. Should there have been one death, whole of our vaccination program shut down on the hearing of one death, we had 124 deaths directly reported and attributed to the vaccine. Hello, I can hear everything, and that's again startling numbers that I didn't come back to here. I've got a few. Let me jump into. I won't do Maggie, but I'm going to touch back here with NWL as well, just to show you that the figures coming in as well. Most people pointing out that Somaliland is on its way here, that there's been a definitive increase on the applications from Somalia. So brace yourself for future fraud, more fraud, not just future fraud, but fraud upon fraud for what we've already got here. NWL says, published weekly Ukrainian asylum seekers for week ending the 11th of January 2026. 245 arrivals in the week, 30% from Somalia, 20% from Nigeria, 20% from Pakistan and Afghanistan. And aren't we lucky that they decided to come and join us here? Aren't we lucky? At 122,000 per head, this week's arrival will cost us 29,890,000 for just 1 week. Little diagram there. Can I restrict that from your, or remove that from your viewing there? Let me see if I can just scale that down and move it out of the way. Move over there, JT. Let's jump over there. Try that there. So total weekly arrivals breakdown. Total arrival 245. Average of 35 arrivals per day. 134 were single males, 56%. 24 single females. Couples 30. Children 46. Lone parents 11. Aren't we lucky? Aren't we so lucky? Weekly arrivals by nationality. It doesn't say the year dates, but you can see the sharp increase over on the far left. On the far left, you say, GT. I said over there in the far left, so more of their pets are coming in. 72 from Somalia, 40% from Nigeria. Remember I said to you, population, the birth rate population for Nigeria alone matches all of Europe. It is a demographic time bomb if we allow that gateway to remain open or don't declare that country safe for Muslims. You know, you hear me. Fucking start. Sorry for cursing, but figures are off the hook. 72 arrivals a week from Somalia in the week, all believed to be via Northern Ireland. So that means they are arriving primarily at their first destination in the UK, transferring over via Belfast, and they're making our way down to Soft Touch, Softland. And I remind you, as desperate as it may seem, and we have a lot more to go, these will all be removed, and this all can be returned to a decent standard for everybody to have a much more decent quality of life. 72 arrivals from Somalia in the week, all believed to be from Northern Ireland. Justice Minister says 87.66% of all nationalities arrive here via Ireland, so from Northern Ireland. So everything's coming down from the north, everything's coming down from the UK. So, and again, everything that's imported from over there is happening here as well. Have another harrowing story there later on, but the Rotherham grooming gangs are starting to appear here, and the national press cannot avoid but has to talk about it. National newspapers, the Vichy prostitutes have to talk about it because a young child has been reported to be gang raped by 5 middle-aged men. But those middle-aged men do not come with description, and that's just left to your imagination. But don't forget, Irish men do it too. The soft equivocation for the lightheadeds, for the nappy heads in the room. Gardaí under Chief Superintendent Aidan Minnock refuses to deploy a Garda on the Enterprise Belfast Dublin train. Not just hopping on the train and heading down. No paperwork. We've already had that statistic, that diagram. Just highlighted there from Deputy Jim O'Callaghan, but now the Justice Minister. Up to the 19th of September, that 87.66% of applicants for international protection made their application at the International Protection Office. We believe this is a indicative number that's very close to that. Very strong basis to suggest the overwhelming majority of people who are claiming international protection in Ireland are arriving over the border. So how fucking else would they get in? Do you know what I mean? Other than Ryanair. I hope fucking Elon buys Ryanair. I hope he does. Yeah, all coming down from the train there. Here's the confusing bit. In terms of the actual stats, government now says there are 312 iPass centres, and that's just iPass centres. Can you give me the figures for how many mosques are popping up, or the pop-up mosques in and around inner city Dublin? Dublin is falling. Dublin is falling. Government now says there are 312 iPass centres, down 1 in a week, but numbers accommodated have increased from 33,268 to a record 33,279. 245 arrivals in a week, but an increase of just 11. Current iPass centres. So it takes them all in 72 arrivals in the week, but numbers accommodated increased by just 30 from 2,826 to 2,856. There are 33,279 presently accommodated by the state, by nationality, with the top 10 margin in red and shown on the map, on the global world map. Well, let's have a look at this map. So, lefties, let's have a look at this map. Thought I had it up on the screen. How does everybody inside all, not just those red areas, but this island, see this big continent here, this big buy here, how does all of that have an entitlement to go into that little island there, just behind where I am? Where does that entitlement come from? I don't know. Algeria and Botswana are also included on that list. But it is shocking. Department of Justice has finally published its graph for 2025 arrivals. 8 consecutive months of weekly arrivals in the margin of 180 to 270 margin, and 2026 looks the same. This is suspiciously narrow and indicative of staged transportation by trafficking gangs. There's always a lull, then there's a rush. What she means by the ebbing and flowing, or the up and down, she highlights it there, or the NWL highlights it in the red barrier there, is the wave and the increase. So when it's down, when trafficking gangs are in operation, you can see there's an increase and then a shortfall, and then the gangs come back on in place, and then and again, that's human trafficking. That is what we say. One of the byproducts of this open borders fiasco is the human trafficking end of it, and we will touch on the sex trafficking end of it as well, on vulnerable young children across the world being brought into this state. I encourage you to go over and follow NWL over on Twitter and give them a follow over there as well. But startling, so like year on year, we have the counties 33,000 matching, and then you have the government saying, well, we're going to build 55 to 6. Remember all the election promises? Housing for all. We're going to build 55,000. Couldn't get past, as I said to you, in the last 4 or 5 consecutive year on end counts. Couldn't get past 33,000. These are units, housing units. We're not even talking about apartment building, but the apartment blocks that are popping up left, right, and centre all over the place. And those are going to be more detrimental to quality of life, because they are just going to be ghettos, overrun, filth hole, shitholes. And we're building them on purpose to beat the man. But like I said to you, the Ponzi scheme of the open border, the human trafficking, is to mask that the GDP figures are deteriorating, that big business is pulling out of Europe, that the main engine of Europe is failing, that is the German economy is going and has already entered recession because of the deindustrialization process that occurred and happened because of the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up, and that German industry having no longer to avail of cheap energy, can no longer afford to run. Volkswagen shutting down, Audi and all those German plants shutting down, that unique German engineering to be a thing of history and reneged, and Germany is to be returned to just a consumerism economy, where all our industries will be outsourced further afield to India or China, but mostly China, if we don't do something about it. But I remember saying to you, that outside force at the very beginning of my first year or 2 years as the soft dictator of Ireland, I would make an arrangement with Putin, get Wagner over here, and we would get people to turn, and we would alleviate the pressures on the housing market in my own very special way. Here's a ticket, or you can stay here in the field for the week, but here's your ticket to a destination of your choice. Off to fuck. That's how easy it can be done. I say this just to cheer ourselves up as well, but we keep motoring on. One can only
Ireland,
one can only hope that this will be taken avail of. Rob Carey, I did mention it earlier on as well. This is the kind of nonsense that we're putting up with. Some people will make vast profits. Some people will prey on other human beings' weakness. So if you're a budding landlord trying to catch hold of this gravy train, this shit will come back on you in the end. But this is the type that people are digging out for here. This is in Dublin 8 advertised. Rob Carey, bring it to attention. 1,845 for a single room in Dublin 8. You have to keep in mind the housing crisis doesn't just exist for the well-off. It's exactly what they want. More people, more demand, more money. One way or another, this exploitation has to stop. This advertised over on houses for refugees from a triple room is available in Dublin 8, suitable for up to 3 friends. Oh, friends. 3 friends in a room. Price per bed is 615, but ARP is available, so could be priced for 2, LE3, and reduced by 600 if you take the government's money, and that's the taxpayers' money. That's yours and my money. So this is the kind of nonsense that's going on in Dublin. This is going to put everybody under pressure, lots more pressure. Because as I said, just to touch back on the housing units year on year end, um, this year with all the vast monies being spent, with all the promises that yesterday, only 16,500 units built, registered to be built. So nowhere near on track to meet, even to get close to 33,000 by the year on end. No matter what Sinn Féin's fucking housing minister, fairy minister for housing says that they will build. Sinn Féin will build 55 to 60,000 units per year, but the construction cannot get past 16,000 as it stands. So we are struggling, boys and girls. So the chaos is bringing. So the housing market's less and less availability of properties on the market, and more people coming in. More and more demand, not enough supply. That's all it is. Basics. Too much demand, not enough supply coming in. But government will not address the elephant in the room, which is demand. Close the fucking borders. Close the borders and start deportations. For the love of Jiminy. Jesus H. Christ, that's some money for one room. 615 per person, well up to a maximum of 3. You've seen the eloquent. Look, you get your own wardrobe. There's a side-by-side wardrobe. You have a desk by the side of your bed. One of them, 2 of them will have a window. One of them has the other corner in the room. I mean, what more do you want? What more do you want, says I. How more do you want? Oh, statistics here, just a quick one there, just to back up my points given from the United States. The White House producing these reports. Mass deportations equals lower housing costs. In 14 of the top 20 cities of the largest illegal migrant population, homeless prices dropped year over year in December. The only 3 seeing slight increases, all sanctuary cities. So all these sanctuary cities that are being turned up on their head are all seeing their medium list prices or the house prices falling because demand is being taken away and reduced. Capiche? You get it, boys and girls. I'm just putting it out there. Okay, a little more of a more harrowing story. Just to tie it up with this, the Irish Inquiry reporting on this terrible situation. Again, there's just more terrible situations to report on. And I don't want to keep having to just bring you just bad news and reacting to the bad news. I want to keep you company. I want us to be able to talk to each other because only we understand each other. Only the other like minds in the chat, those like minds that are watching the publication afterwards or can understand that we're just here to converse with each other and to help each other push on through and see if this crazy train can be stopped. But again, medium list prices being reduced over in the United States. I didn't even put that. I didn't put that list up over there for you. Let me just pop it up there. That one there. That's what I'm talking about. Pause it. Okay, back. Just want to touch on this story here because again, it's just indicative of this human trafficking that's been going on for years and years that we've all spoken about. And these people, cannot take those people in power at the moment, cannot take any of them serious. They're all nonsense actors. They're all signed up to WEF. They're all here to destroy our cultures and to abscond with a stupid, insane amount of money. But that money will not protect them. If you're looking from afar, if you're on estates from afar, if you're living in a detached house with green fields all around you, or you've got a sizable plot of land, thinking that green field or that green hedge will protect you from open borders migration, you'll be one of the first victims because you are far, far away from civilization and you're easily more prey. So up your security if you can afford it. I want to just read this from Susan Delaney and Mark for Stephen. What's Stephen's second name there? Chat. Stephen. Fucking name escapes me. From the Irish Inquiry. It'll pop up there. Go on, chat. You can do it. You can do it. Put you back in. I want to give his full name. Apologies, Stephen, for forgetting your name. Just waiting for the chat to pick it up. We'll get to it anyway. But I think this will be from Susan Delaney. I recognise the writing. Kerr, thank you, Liz. Stephen Kerr. Let me read this. The harrowing story of a young child found on the streets. We find it difficult to believe that Irish businesses and restaurant owners would not report their knowledge of this sex rape trafficked child. I find it very alarming that whoever she went to didn't in fact do that. I believe that it is a significant cultural difference on display to not bring a young girl who has been raped repeatedly to the Gardaí rather than give her a bed for the night. rather than give her a bed for night. She is a child, not an adult. The fact she could not speak any English but had gotten to know these businesses and restaurant owners indicates I'm correct. Mind you, Irish people are not innocent. Anyone who supports unvetted, rampant immigration, where documents can be illegally destroyed on a plane to a boat to avoid border patrols, but you can still gain entry, supports child trafficking. The man who trafficked this poor young girl and then raped her over and over again got her in here with no scrutiny as to who he was to this child. This is not the first time we have read about this happening, and it won't be the last. Even then, we do not even know to the tip of the iceberg. Ireland is a safe haven for those who wish to bring children in here for the explicit purpose of harming them. The young girl was apparently very unwell when they found, and she was very distressed when recounting what happened to her when found. What happened to her, the sexual abuse. She needed STD tests and medical treatment. Ireland has and always will be a place where children are exploited and abused, and it is completely allowed to go unchecked. Different country, different century, same crimes against the innocent. On a side note, it is good to see that the Child Law Project has finally been reinstated after an 8-month period, that there was no oversight into Tusla's dealings in the courts. It is highly suspect that the government terminated this extremely important project for so long, citing procurement delays. That's very odd given that the same project won the tender and the government knew when the tender would be up for renewal. 8 months of completely closed off courts in camera means 8 months where Tusla and the courts could not act as if no one was watching or making note of what was happening in each of those cases. This, just among others, just the reports, like I said, child sex trafficking is rampant over here, and we are just a hub, an international hub here because of our do fucking nothing policy against anyone unless you are Irish and you don't have a tax certificate in your window and all the rest of it. It's fucking disgraceful. It is absolutely despicable that we allow this to happen year in, year out. Not a mention of it by the bought and paid off Vici prostitutes. No minister to be held account. Tusla runs rampant. Touching on a story, and it just strikes me, touching on a story from 2016, 2017, when I first started out and I was traveling around the country and I was, going to the different events or whatever, the amount of parents that used to come up to me then to try and report on Tusla taking their children, single mothers, it's rampant now, but Tusla had taken available the opportunity of taking the kids out of custody and putting them into care. Now we have third-party operators that are not even licensed, not even vetted for their license, and have now found that the carers that they employed, some of them were criminals, and are now protecting vulnerable young children in hotels and farming them out, where the Rotherham situation, or the north of England, should you say, where the whole of the children of the north of England were raped by year on year or decade upon decade, without not a mention from the local councillor, not a mention from the local police force, not a mention from anything, because they too were included in it. And what you'll find, as you'll see from the Minnesota situation or the Minneapolis situation, is that their whole police has been taken over by the Somalis. And now that sheriff, who's a Somali, has openly declared that he works for the Somalis and not the American people. If you bring different cultures and different tribes, they will work for the benefit of their own tribe. That's why I'm always describing that we Irish, we here, those of us hardy bastards, tribe up, segregate, create our own Ontario here, take over Connacht, take over Leinster, take over one of them, and build big fucking walls, and then we will win it out, because they won't be able to run this shithole without us, and it'll just fade away. They'll actually want to come to the very place where we've decided to segregate. But you know what I mean, hyperbole aside, in Minecraft, there are numerous situations, like, again, our failing birth rate doesn't have to be an importation of fucking third world drongos. It can be tax incentives for every family. The larger you increase your family, the less tax you will have to pay. Follow the Hungarian model. Follow the Denmark model now, where not only are they giving up Greenland, but apart from that, are banning the burqa. I seen the Irish Viking over on Instagram pointing out today, seen a bin bag from head to toe with just the eyeballs showing out, pushing a pram with 3 kids around it. But it wasn't a woman. You could tell by the Freddy Fat Fingers that it was clearly a man walking around pushing kids dressed as a woman in the fucking burqa. All sorts of nonsense. D Wall has been on Twitter even longer with Angela Ray, but just counting to name a few, yeah. Quite a few of them shouldn't even be allowed get citizenship. Oh, 100%. 100%. No, it's the whole point of allowing citizenship, and then now we've got a plethora of immigrants outside Dáil Éireann looking for an amnesty. An amnesty, give us an amnesty, and they'll be put straight, given PPE numbers on licence, straight into the workforce, diluting your wages. Not only diluting your fucking wages, but disenfranchising you from your vote, because your vote will be diminished more and more that new voters come into place, because they will affect tribalism and they will vote accordingly. You know the Muslims are going to be instructed by the imams in all of these pop-up mosques not only to defile the Kafir, but vote for X, Y, and Z. That's why Sinn Féin, Finn Fáil and Fine Gael are all lacking them up, because they know the numbers will change. They know in a period of time the numbers will change, and they will push through the DEI to grab a hold of that representation. But it comes as a poisonous chalice. They don't give a shit. They be retired. They want to remain in power and maybe effectively try to get their children into power long after them. How deep the nepotism runs here in Ireland, too much to our own avail. But again, like I said to you, no matter how many millions you make, open borders is coming for you one way or the other, and you're only prolonging the inevitable. If you don't stand up, like I said, I was speaking in a text tweet there during the week. I'm finding because of being into construction and moving around, I'm travelling around all over, primarily Leinster all the time. And I can see Donamead over on the north side is just a plethora of, I can only look like Eastern European ghetto blocks that are just popping up. And they're already starting to deteriorate. Only 2 or 3 years, I'd say 5 or 6 years, right by the sea. Salt sea air, salt water getting straight at them. Most of them are timber bills. They are fucking rotten already. We're going to have another housing crisis, not like the pyrite that's going on up in Donegal, which has been going on since I was a child, and it's fucking outrageous what's being done to Donegal, because Donegal has always stood firm. So they are pushing all manner of drongos up to Donegal and are washing the Irish out of there, and they're letting all that pyrite damaged houses just to remain, so that the Irish will be driven broken out of their houses, out onto the fields. I don't know where it was powering off to in that situation, but Fine Gael, Finn Fáil, all of them in the Ivory Towers there at the moment are looking for their vote and not bothering with the Irish vote. It's the boomers. It's the boomers keeping them in power, because boomers are only looking in at RTE and are defending the narrative with their fucking lives and their money and saying, "Oh, why should the kids get it? I might as well spend it now." Generational wealth, a long vented thing of the past. I'm getting carried away. I need to slow down. Well, I checked Telegram, see if anybody's popped in. Nobody's made it there just yet. No, it's a work in progress. I'm not going to fess too much. Not going to worry about it too much. It's just off the cuff sort of situation. But the dangerous situation over here as well, the Tusla situation, among other things, and then the outrageous importation into the rank and file of Gardaí. Gardaí will soon seal it. Like I said to you, in the Rotherham situation, a vast majority of the perpetrators against the vulnerable young children were police officers themselves. Of a persuasion, though, mind. Of a persuasion. I'll let you put 2 and 2 together. How are you doing, a Messaline taxi? We've got no spanners in the moderation tonight, but everybody's being very well behaved. I do appreciate everybody engaging in the conversation and keeping it civil and enjoying the conversation. Sorry I don't have it up on the screen. Just didn't get it up. Didn't get it up there in time. The Irish COVID. Yeah, I did have. I'll just skirt through this article as well, because it is graph heavy and a little bit technical. But in essence, it's talking about the 124 deaths. Let me jump over. It is Patrick E. Walsh's Substack over on Telegram. And I wanted to bring up Aisling O'Loughlin's Substack as well. And I thoroughly recommend, I importune you to go over and follow her on our Substack as well, because she will not let the excess deaths, which I'm very appreciative as well, along with Patrick E. Walsh here as well, who's keeping the statistical analysis. But I'll just give you a couple of the headline features and some of the charts as we're going through. But it just correlates and it displays to you the 124 deaths that happened within the first 16 months of the rollout. Not a mention of it in the media, not a mention of it. 16, like I said, 124 confirmed vaccine deaths at the time. But still it rolled on. Luke O'Neill didn't pop out. Oh, no, I'm going to sell me business soon, and I'm going to go to get 38 million. And just remember, you can all have great fun in your bubble if you go to the bubble, and if you sit down in the restaurant, you're safe. But if you stand up without a face mask out of your seat without food in your plate, without a €9 purchase of a beer and a plate, then you will catch the COVID and you will put your neighbour at risk. You'll put Granny at risk. How double dog dare you? And don't get in the way of me and my 38 million. What was it not? Why was there not an inquest for Ireland's only officially registered COVID vaccine death? An analysis of COVID vaccine deaths report the HPRA. And again, I'll point out from the very start that this poster here is a fabrication. I remember them going out, being posted out because they were dark humour was in them, but the side effects were real. But Patrick picked up on it here, just by way of quantifier as I go through the article. The HSE Health Service Executive and the HPRA, the Health Products Regulatory Authority, are Irish state bodies that were prominent in manipulating and corralling the masses into taking the experimental gene therapy in huge numbers during the COVID scandemic. This poster popped up as well, and people didn't read it. Like, you know what I mean? The side effects is what's putting on, and that's not what the HSE put out though. But it's quite funny. Vaccine side effects include headaches, menstrual irregularities, Bell's palsy, blood clots, heart attacks and strokes, sudden death. Like, I mean, if they'd have been put out from the start, do you think many numerous people would have still rolled up their sleeves and taken? If these known adverse reactions, sudden death, by the way, have you seen this on your insert? Oh, no, that's right. There were no inserts in any of the vaccines. So you wouldn't have seen this, that side effect, sudden death. Do you still want to go ahead? Oh, yeah. Sign me up there. Sign me up. Sudden death, not a bottle. Bell's palsy. I'd probably look good with a bit of Bell's palsy. I'm helping everybody. I'm helping. Let me get my fucking Instagram account up. I'm helping. Sudden death. Anyway, the above HSE HPRA poster citing sudden death as a side effect of the COVID-19 vaccines was outed as a fabrication by Reuters Fact Check in January 2023. The Reuters article quotes the HSE as follows: "This is not an HSE poster, and the information included on the poster was not authorised or published by the HSE. The HSE does not list heart attacks or sudden death as side effects of mRNA vaccines. However," and this was according to Reuters, HPRA demurred, a spokesperson for the HPRA did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the said poster. Maybe HPRA didn't reply because although the poster is a fabrication, they mightn't have been convinced that sudden death as a side effect isn't. That's why they didn't give a quote. HPRA produced 18 different reports of COVID-19 vaccine side effects in Ireland between February 21 and 2023. Let's take a look at what these reports divulged about HPRA's knowledge of death as a side effect of the COVID vaccines. And essentially, Patrick's just going through to list that some of the reports highlighted in the red, that there were a total of 124 reports. Of these, 101 were reported with an mRNA vaccine. 14 were adenoviral vector vaccines, because we did have a different choice. Individuals, but the first three, but in total between 21 and 23, 124 deaths accredited to mRNA gene therapy experimental death vaccines. He goes through a list of tables just for criteria, points out the main points that a majority were in the elderly patients, and that individuals weren't just age-related but would have complications of prior COVID morbidities, means that they were probably going to die with something else, but they got tested and it said COVID, so they were listed as a COVID death. And those that were organising, look at our old fucking baldy slaphead, Dr. Evil himself, Stephen Black Belt Taekwondo, shit himself when I jumped out of the car and conversed him on his road rage many years ago, but absconding with an obscenely vast amount of money and a state pension to boot. But we'll take that back. DT's soft dictatorship, we'll take that money back as well, and everything else that goes along with it. Destitution awaits. Destitution is your destination. CSO cause of it. Like I said, you'll go through the HIPRA. Females 75, 79 years of age, COVID vaccine causing adverse reactions in therapeutic use. But just goes through the analysis. Patrick E. Walsh on his Substack there, if you care to follow it up. But I was very surprised that already some 124 listed deaths, but I never remember a mention of it or any mention of it during the situation itself. Just checking with some of your points, your chats, Chimax. They're only the ones recorded. And again, yeah, it even states in Patrick's report there, reading through it earlier on, that these are only a percentile. Like the, what is the adverse reaction over in the UK? We were talking about it for so long. But anyway, the reporting system only accredits for some 10% of actual numbers. So whatever is reported in any state body collecting information sites, you can equate that to just being 10% of the actual figures. So 10% of 124 could lead us up to what? 1,240 per se? Yeah, we just keep popping it out there as well. So main focus for going on in the week. I have one last broadcast from Daz about an event happening, and I encourage you all to attend and share if you are out of a position and you are capable to get out and attend this, one of the big muster stations. Not a protest, not a rally. Did a rally in 2019, and you remember, if you go through the early back catalogue here, it's now that it's all back up. 2019, Pontida, Italy. I had up there, was interviewed by a Finnish TV station over there at the time, and there were some 80,000 attendees at the Pontida. Happens every year in the Italian elections, or in Italy. And told the Finnish newspaper channel out, and she asked me, why were you over here? Yellow card, appreciate that, Jen. Yellow card adverse reaction reporting system. She asked me, why are you over here? Because I said, this is just to show the people of Ireland that if we come together, if we represent from different nations, different counties, different walks, backgrounds, walks of life, and we come together under one uniform, if we just meet in a field and get to know each other, the biggest gathering get together, from farmers to fishermen, from Joe Normie on the street, we could all come together, not only as a networking group, but it's great to see numbers on boots on the ground. I would have it a big open air facility away from Dublin and let it grow bigger and bigger. Surely there's a well-to-do place out there in the farm that could accommodate traffic, close to amenities, close to transportation, and that we could all get together and meet. And maybe the leadership of the nationalist movement would come out there. Great, like I said to you, all these events come out, all the speakers that attend, these are people vying for your attention. These are people that have put themselves forward and are willing to speak publicly to try and catch your ear to help represent you. It's down to us to use our skepticism and our ability to fine tune. But this leadership will accrue. I'm saying there's many great people out there that have been fighting long and hard that would be perfectly situated. I'm not looking for these Johnny-come-latelys that are, let's set up a podcast. Let's get up another podcast. Let's all talk to the truth. We've been talking the truth for 10, 12 years on the same situation here. Action needs to be done. People need to step up. People are stepping up, but more people, high-quality candidates. There are loads of people out there, not just your Nick Delahuntes, but you can see from the youth, particularly in the National Party as well, I'd say. National Party going from strength to strength. I'm very impressed. And because of their age and their demographic, I think they're on point and will be a viable solution, voting solution going forward as well. Regardless of the besmirchment there as well. I'm a big fan of the young men of the National Party going forward. And under the careful stewardship of Stephen Redmond. Now, Stephen, if you're watching this on the broadcast, I didn't include you on the stern young man. Even though you are a young man, you are the elder figure amongst that soiree of individuals. And fine gentlemen they are too. Please do send my regards on to them all. That big diatribe into all of that leads me up to this here from Daz Evans. Now, because of the banning over on TikTok, I leaned into Instagram a bit more, and all the old faces from TikTok are all over there. But Daz News has sprouted up and is a good source and keeps people's attention on what's happening in inner city Dublin and around the country. Has a great melancholic way. But he's putting this out here as well about and again, I'll share the dates. I'll pause it there just towards the end. But I'll let Daz here speak for himself. If we can turn this on.
All get behind this would be much appreciated. This is going to be one for the books. Everyone's getting involved. You just need the power of social media to get behind this and push this out as far as you can. Shutting down the port and the dog. And this is what's needed. You can get behind this, share it out, attend. The more people that attend this and share these out, the more noise we're going to make. So do what you do best and share this out. Right, been asked to share this, and if you can all...
I'll pause it there towards the end and just get some of the details. For the 4th and 5th of March. Now, again, got to be mindful as well here as well. Minecraft in all situations probably could be, consensually might be. Who knows? It's in a script. I'm talking about a film. You know, this is for commissioning a hearing as well, you know, and the AI that's transcribing. And that's why I like to speak in parable. That's why I like to speak quickly, because they can't understand a fucking word I'm saying. I know you can understand me. I know the vast majority of you can understand me because it's a thick local accent as well. I appreciate that. Like I said to you, I am very capable slowing down and pronunciating my this, that, these and those. That's the way the TH goes. Elocution wasn't completely lost on me, but I don't enjoy speaking like this. I do not enjoy. I'd rather go back to inner city Dublin. How is it going, everybody? Are you grand? Fourth and fifth, calling all farmers, fishermen, hauliers and nationalists. Fourth, fifth, the port and the Dáil. Again, got to be very careful, very mindful that I'm neither in support of this, I'm just reporting on it. That seems to be getting pushed out, but it could be something. You couldn't make it up. For sure, great bunch of lads in the National Party. Appreciate that, Jane, yeah. I appreciate it. So we'll see how that goes as well. But if you're of a mind, if you're in attendance, we'll see, because I know the farmers don't like to put themselves on the front, but they are getting more and more agitated. So watch this space, because they're free gimmies. Their gimmies are being taken away from them. Their veto that they always assumed, their big swinging Mickey veto, which was that how the Mercosur deal is allowing itself to go through, because all Irish farmers were promised year in, year out since the Lisbon Treaty that no matter what happens, Irish beef and its standards will be maintained. And if you guys aren't happy what's happening in Europe, you have the veto. You can stop it all. You can stop it all. Then they go and use the veto to obscure from the veto, and Europe says, "Cap yourself on. We're going through." Ursula von der Leyen is already over there, signed a deal, and she's currently in India now, talking about a new strategy. So we will get more flavoursome food on the streets of Ireland. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. Mind yourself. Mind yourself, boys and girls. Okay, I think I'm going to wind up and leave it there. A little bit of a higgly-biggly, throw it together sort of type show. Yeah, it's the same every week. Same every week. But I'm delighted with your company, because you've distracted from the backache and the back pain. And we soldier forward. We keep going. We keep going. So, folks, 4th and 5th of March, keep your ears pricked if you're about. Well, you go down there, throw the numbers in. I might find my way down there. Mind you don't get arrested, because shutting down the port means the business. What needs to be done, we've often called for it. I do remember, and I have long forgot to mention his name as well. Someone compared me to an old friend there, and he was shut down, and offences against the state. Graham Carey, my good friend Graham Carey, who doesn't. Somebody says, "Oh, you're beginning to sound like Graham now." I said, "I'd take that as a compliment." Graham went and shot through the stars too soon, and was bringing much notoriety, and he was bringing the people with him, and they shut him down because they threatened him with offences against the State Act. That would have been terrorist charges, ladies and gentlemen, for opening his mouth. So we must not forget, because came at a great cost to himself. Big salute to you, Graham. I salute you, sir. You are not forgotten. Thank you very much for all you've done, and for everybody else on their journeys, and all the young men that are going forward. Keep speaking forward. I remind you of our duty to Christ. I'm not the turn the other cheek type of Christian. I'm more of a smash the teeth of the wicked in the parables. Can't remember what part of it is, though. But the wicked deserve to have their teeth smashed in. I'm not saying socialist Republicans or anything of the sort are wicked. But if you're pushing for the mutilating of children, I think that's very deep and dark quantifier for you to be a fucking strangulated, retarded, full of wickedness. Okay, that's enough from me, boys and girls. Big thank you as we croak on past the year. It's been far more than enough. If you want, before we go, your age and name, or if you think that's a little bit passé, shall we do it? Great to see you. Thanks for that, John. Thanks for that. Appreciate that. Trying to keep the form going. I could have gone a lot angrier, but I'm slightly medicated from the pills, so there's not an angry bomb. Graham was great. Yeah, he still is, but just can't. The state will come down on him if he even opens up a social media platform. They will come down on him. Slán Máile, Slán from Shawnee Mac. Quick head count for those of you that are here. Appreciate you. Those of you viewing afterwards or watching it on repeat, if you are of a mind, please do leave your thoughts, comments, and and witticisms in the comments section down below. I do enjoy to engage with you all down below. Liz, would you ever stop it, woman? Would you stop it? I'll get to you now in a second there. Very funny. Please leave your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comment section below. Smash that like button, and if you're a mind, share, push it on if you would. Not going to do the fancy yet. We just do these live broadcasts once a week where we all, hardy bastards, just come together And we like to see if we can dig up some new shares, if we can push some more information going forward, or we just help each other and pick each other up just by the chills and the chats of the conversation. Liz kicks us off there from Tala 58. Liz, great stuff. Thanks for that. Sil is Shani in Kilkenny. I'm just going to say Kilkenny. Shani Mac. Appreciate that. All good. Stay alive from my Leslie. Finola O'Murku, Clondalkin, 92. Finola. Stop it with your 92, all right? Just pack that in there, will you? Pack it in, 92. Fair play, GT. Keep up with the great work from Fitzer. Appreciate that. Fitzer. Appreciate it. Cheap dog as well. Night all. The good people mind your back, GT, and I know the pain. Perforated at this myself. I'm hoping I can get the fluid. I need to do some inversion therapy or hang upside down. But we'll get there. Big Hoke says, cheers, DT, and to the chat keeper, Lith. And Killikee for Sheepdog from County Cork. Damn it, I missed the stream. Colette, go on the rewind there. Go back on the rewind. We were all talking about you as well. Funny that. You just pop in just as we stopped talking about you. I'm only joking. You'll have to go back and find out if I'm Finola born in 90. Finola, Liz. Well, how can you qualify that? How am I supposed to fucking know? Your age and your location. I didn't ask you for the year, your date of birth. I asked you for your age. You're coming up at 92 weekend. I'm glad we got to clear this up, though. I'm glad here now, at the very end, Liz, we got to clear this up. Because there's no fucking way a 92-year-old was watching this madness. How do you spell witticisms? Yeah, the way you spelled it there in the chat there, Sean. Fucking cheeky. Colette, you know the drill. Get pressing. Yeah, 20 press-ups, 20 sit-ups. Keep it going. All right, boys and girls. Appreciate that. See you next week. See you next Monday. Or we'll crack it up. And, I'm feeling a little bit fruity these days. Maybe with the spring coming in, we might up it to 2 a week. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you want to jack it up to 2 a week, we might even go back to the old 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Who knows? The Colette coming in with the late one there. Wexford 60. Now, is that 1960 or are you 60? Great age. Great age, Colette. I'm not far off it myself. I'm just a couple of years short of it myself. Red Boar, good to have you now, buddy. 48 from Drogheda. Lots of nonsense going on up in Drogheda. Drogheda local council elections decided that they were going to cancel the St. Patrick's Day parade this year. Not enough funds for that. Plenty of money to go to the World Bank, 141. Great to see all the citizen journalists putting the pressure on the government. Why did Pasty Pascal O'Donoghue increase the 124 to 134, adding another 10 billion to the World Bank? And one of the citizen journalists out there quickly points out the effect of that 134 billion or million to the World Bank allows them to go to the bonds to secure unquantifiable amounts of credit, which they will dish out to their cronies. And again, the payer of those bonds or those bank bonds or those bailout bonds and all of them bonds, pension funds. Everybody that's paying into a pension fund, your pension fund is buying into government debt. And when the government, when it collapses, when a national emergency is broadcast, which is coming soon with the war, when they nationalise, make a national emergency, property rights are out the window, boys and girls. Just remember that. Property rights are out the window. Back to COVID times. Last one, Aaron Gabra and cheerio from Shani Mac. Boys and girls, it's been a pleasure. See you next week. God bless you. God bless yours. Us. Hold on, silky smooth one again. Let's start that again. Us, everybody. God bless. I wanted to transition with that music playing in the background there because I was giving it socks in the back. Shall we do it again? One more time. I'm going to go this time. 100% I'm going to go this time. Slán go ball.